Good evening and welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus. A comment response. Someone just commented, I'm really bad at this. I'm so sorry, I've forgotten your name immediately. It was obviously one with numbers in it, so it didn't stick. I'll put it up on the screen. So this chap replied to my last video, and I've replied to him in a long form comment, which I know is against forum rules. We're supposed to chop things down into small, easily readable things, but he didn't see that video, so I replied to it anyway. But the question that he is bringing to me, I think, is the question which all these agnostic atheists are sidestepping. It's the most important question which I've been trying to answer. And I feel like, although you're not going to like to hear this, atheist agnostics, you're not equipped to answer the question which we in my study group have been wrestling with. Not just the believers. I've got a study group which is just Christians like me, and I have a group which is some atheists, some agnostics, or some people who have been in religious cults. So they thought that they had met God. They actually thought, I have really met God, but then it turned out later that it was set up by other people. It was a trick. So in their head, all religious experiences are tricks of other men, and that's their proof that they want to push forward. So they argue that as their case. They say, fair enough, you think you've met God, but it was probably a trick by other men. And that's a fair argument. I can have that discussion with them. And I don't feel like that's a waste of time, because either they're going to convince me that my experience of meeting God was false, or they're going to accept that actually my experience was real. So even though they haven't yet had it, it's a thing they could possibly look for. And therefore God is real. That's the conversation we're having. It's not a theological discussion. We're not leafing through Bibles and trying to prove that God came out of the Bible or that the Bible proves God to be true. That's a different discussion. Neither are we trying to logically deduce whether God could be real, which is another thing that a lot of these atheistics, agnostic atheists, think that we're doing. We're not. It's not a logical discussion. We're not logically eliminating all possible answers until we've only got one left, because that doesn't prove anything. Because real life isn't an equation like a piece of maths. Things happen which are very unreasonable, illogical, sometimes that defy belief. And usually we find that there is a logical reason for these, but not always. So you can't say you can use logic in that way. It's not designed for that. Logic is not equipped to explain miracle, to explain things that logic can't explain. It just doesn't do that. In the same way that I can use a car to drive down the road to the shop and then back. Logically a car is built to drive down roads. But if I try to take my car into dreams and drive down the road in someone's dream, there is no way my car can do that. It is not designed for that. So there is a different process for me to explore the contents of my dreams. You see where I'm going with this? I'm not saying that the atheist position is bad. I've said that in previous videos. I'm not even saying that the atheist agnostic position is bad, although I think it logically doesn't work to call it that. I understand that position, and I just say in my head those guys are agnostic because they're not sure. But the questions they are bringing to me, it's not the question that we're discussing over here. The thing that I keep saying is such a great, interesting conversation. We've been doing it 3 years. It's great. I love it. It's the most interesting thing ever, without a shadow. But it is not a logical argument. You cannot win it with logic. You cannot win it at all. It's a meeting of people's experiences. It's a discussion between human beings. It's not a logical deduction process that you can feed into ChatGPT and get a good answer for. That will not work. The same as a car can't drive into your dreams. The only way you can drive into your dreams is through open forum discussions with other human beings, using your mind to discern whether they're telling the truth, whether they were deceived themselves, or whether their thing is actually true, whether it affected them in the way that they say, whether it affects you. That's what our discussion is doing. We are discussing people have had spiritual experiences. Some of them believe it's God, and it affected them. It completely changed their character and their life, right? It built a new person from the embers of the burnt husk of who they used to be. That's what we're discussing. Now, some of those people, like myself, we believe we have met God. We have inalienable evidence and proof that God was there when we spoke to him, and that's the reason we came to faith. Some people have other experiences, and that's the reason they came to faith. Those things are not reasonable or logical. We can't explain how those things happened, but the proof was enough for us, right? So we accept that, and that is our testimony. Now, if you are a logical deduction guy, one of these agnostic atheist guys, you have to falsify our life experience and call us liars, and you can't have a debate with us then. You cannot have a civil debate with someone who you immediately label as a delusional liar before a word is spoken. That's what you guys are doing. So I offered you the chance. I've done it 4 times, 4 different videos. I've offered you the chance to come and debate with us or discuss with us why you think God is not real, or why you're not sure, or why you're in your particular position. If you can do it with courtesies, that's fine. But we're not going to try and convince you that it's wrong. We're going to tell you that it's right. That's the bit you guys get wrong. We're not trying to convince you to be Christian, to be Muslim, to be atheist, to be anything. Whatever you are, we accept it. You really are that. Fine, true, 100%. How does it affect you? And why does it affect you that way? And could it possibly affect Joe Bloggs over there? If he started reading into your experience, not the Bible, if he listened to you tell your story, your testimony of why that happened to you and how it affected you, do you think he might think, that's for me, I'm going to try and do that? That's the conversation we're having. So, the conclusion is, feel free to join the conversation. There is a pass bar. I'm not going to let you in until you demonstrate that you have courtesies and respect and earn that, because we've been doing it 3 years and we don't need any trouble. We don't need any idiots wasting our time. It's a tough topic. It's a difficult conversation as it is. And we're 3 years down into it. Everyone knows each other's life stories. Some of these are very delicate topics for people. They're talking about the most private parts of their life and their character. And we're putting this all out on the table so that we can get truth. That is not easy. It takes courage. It takes time. It takes a lot of effort as well. So we're not going to let some random orc off the internet waddle in, tell everyone they're delusional lies, and then leave, because that will ruin the good work we have done. However, whatever your position is, whether you're atheist, agnostic, Christian, Buddhist, or whatever, if you have something to add, an experience, a testimony, or some bit of proof that you have seen, you don't need to prove that it really happened to me. Logically, I don't need that. If you say you met God while you were sat on the toilet reading The Sun, I have to take you on face value. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. When you give me your testimony, I will know whether you're lying though. That's going to be the pass bar. If you can convince me that you had a spiritual experience and it was real, then you're in. And you can say what you want, you get away with a lot. But until you earn that respect, you're not getting past the bar. Because as far as I can tell, you are a logical deduction person and you don't have any experiences to speak of. So you are just repeating other people's, or using ChatGPT to generate logic, which we went through is not what you need in this conversation. Logic is a foregone conclusion in that conversation. We accept that you are not a liar, that you are not delusional, that you have a brain in your head capable of thinking logically, and that you have good reason to be presenting these delicate testimonies to us. We accept all of that before we start talking. Whereas your discussion over here, you don't accept any of those things. In fact, you're looking to prove those things wrong. As soon as I start talking to you, atheistics, you immediately label me as brainwashed, indoctrinated. Neither of those things are true. I could prove that to you. But you label me that anyway. When I deny it, you argue with me, call me a liar, delusional, which, again, both things are not true. I can prove this to you. And we spend a lot of time going over old ground to falsify things which are definitely true, and it doesn't add to the conversation. It's a waste of my time and everyone else's, and it is just annoying, so we're not going to do it. So, the real conclusion is, prepare yourself if you want to be in this conversation. It is a tough conversation. Sometimes it gets heated. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's just interesting. But one thing it is never going to be is boring. And the other thing I ensure in my groups that it will never be is infuriating. I will not have rudeness. I will not have a lack of courtesy or respect from anyone. Nobody is calling each other delusional. Nobody is calling each other a liar. Nobody is calling each other on drugs or crazy or anything. The testimony people give, we accept it on face value until later we can prove it otherwise. Alright, so you're innocent until proven guilty, effectively. We don't assume people are stupid or on drugs or lying. which is unfortunately what the agnostic atheists are doing. And they have to do that because they have nothing, no life experience to speak of. They only have logic and ChatGPT. Now correct me if I'm wrong. If I want to hear exactly what you think and then test it through sound logical processes, I can use ChatGPT. I have ChatGPT. I have the corporate paid up version of it. I can get every word that's going to come out of your atheistic gob from ChatGPT with more reasons than you gave me. But that is not helpful to me. I want, on one side, people who have had legitimate spiritual experiences, who have belief because of those experiences. I want to hear their testimony. And on the other side, I want people who thought that they did, but later was revealed to them that they had been deceived and tricked by other men. And that is the reason they think all spiritual experiences are wrong. So we have the believers who had experiences, arguing the case that their experience led to their faith and that improved their life somehow. And on the other side, we have the people who revealed that their faith was not true, that it was a deceitful action from other people, and that improved their life. And those are the two sides of the discussion which we have been happily having for 3 years and will continue to have. So like I say, if you're interested in that one, which you should be, because it is absolutely the best conversation you'll ever be in, and the people are the best people you'll ever meet, if you're interested in that, demonstrate that you can be courteous, respectful, and that you have that experience. Otherwise, happily and respectfully, go and have your other, logical discussion where you figure out, can you believe a certain thing, yes or no? Do you accept the premise, yes or no, in hypothetical terms? Then go away and have some life experience, because that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about hypothetical logic. We're talking about real life experiences. How does it really affect people? How does it affect you? What are you going to do with it going forward in your life? Okay, so that's the end of this video. I hope you understood what I was saying. You enjoyed this and you learned something. God bless you all. And I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now. And I cannot stress enough how important it is in any theological, philosophical or logical debate to have respect for your compatriots. If you don't have that, you'll just learn nothing. So that's all for now. God bless you all. Have a lovely day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.